let's talk about the new generation of folks that we've hired, and what is it that you guys, as leaders within the department, whether it's a formal position or a influential leadership position, what is it that stands out to you, or that kind of looks when you see somebody's like, hey man, this person has some qualities that we want to develop. So somebody go ahead and
But
open
no,
up on that.
so I'll start with it. I think for me personally, the people that I've chose to surround me, the biggest trait that I really look for is loyalty. And I think especially with our group and our department, we're huge on that. And it's really about loyalty, and that's something that I learned growing up. I grew up, for a long time with a single mom and three older sisters, and we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of fancy things. We kind of barely made by, but we always were there for each other, and we always had that loyalty. And I always noticed that with watching my mom growing up was whatever job she was at, they loved her. And it wasn't because she did anything special. It was just she just took care of everybody. She looked out for people. She genuinely built relationships with everybody. And whether it was her boss or people below her, everybody loved her and cared about her. And she still has that trait about her. So I learned that, and I took that in adulthood of saying, as a professional and as an adult, I want people who are going to always be loyal to me. And that's the trait that I look for in people is, are you going to be loyal to what I am and what I'm trying to do? And in our department, I think we're really big on that is we look for the people that we know are going to be down, because if people are loyal to you, they're going to do anything for you, whether that's make themselves better, whether it's take care of you, take care of each other, and you just breed that mindset of we take care of each other no matter what. We always look out for each other. Building personal relationships is big. And I feel like I've always tried to do that with everybody too, is not just be your boss. I want that personal side of it so that I can help make you better and gain your trust.
Anybody want to touch on that aspect of how he has instilled that in you?
I love it, but I think I asked a couple questions too. Hugo did do that and asked. He kind of was looking at me like, how am I going to interact, my reactions, and all that loyalty. I grew up with two older brothers, so very similar, but we would fight. But after we fight, they're my brothers. I love them to death. So that loyalty was ingrained in me, so he could see it right at the bat. But I like to ask questions like, have you ever played a sport? Have you ever failed before? Do you have brothers or sisters? Are you a single child? There's things I like to ask too when new people come in. You can automatically get their mindset. And maybe what did you do before you got here?
So,
maybe
touching back, what does that tell you about a person when you ask them that question? Like, did you play a sport or did you fail at something? What is it that you're looking for?
So knowing that this is a team sport. In the fire service, we're working with 3 other people. So I play this as a team sport. Can you work together? Can you take constructive criticism? There's a leader and there's a following time, but it doesn't matter what the pecking order is. At some point, you could be one or the other. So playing a sport, you're going to win together, you're going to fail together. You're going to blood, sweat, tears, everything on the field. And when you walk off, you can look at each other and say, I love every one of you guys, and I did this, and we did this together because of how much you invested in me. I can see what I'm investing back in you. Same thing with the fire service on just another level because we run really high-intensity calls. But then even like the brother and sister thing, you guys have brothers and sisters. It's just knowing how to operate in a space when you're on a call or at home. So we live in the fire station. That's just one thing. Respecting each other, having good conversations, being open, not selfish. So those are a few things I ask.
And that's little things, like you said, the not being selfish. Like growing up with 3 sisters, I didn't get very much bathroom time, right? So I'm not selfish enough to say no. When I need it, I need it. I know that I have to give things up for other people, and I think that's one of the things of growing up in a family is you learn how to sacrifice for each other. So
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was thinking about on the job force and how we see that. It's always really refreshing when you work with a crew, especially if it's not your normal crew, and you come to that crew and then you run a call. A lot of times, what tends to happen, I think, when you're like non-team mindset, is that when you say you reach a certain rank or reach a certain skill set, like medic versus EMT, sometimes it's like, well, I have my role of stuff, so I don't do it. Like all these guys in the room, as an EMT, I'm a lesser skill in a sense. So there's certain jobs that I do, but all these guys will jump in and do EMT skill stuff. You have sometimes, and then sometimes you work on a crew where I'll do all the vitals, and for me it always it's not a big deal. Like you always train yourself to be able to handle all that, but it says something about the crew dynamic when you got 4 people and only one person's doing it all. That's not team mindset. You know, like that's not working together and giving that patient the best possible care. You know, like it shouldn't just be when it's like when it's hitting the fan and we're all getting in there, as opposed to the other 80% of the calls, like just let that person handle it. You know.
So you've been on the last interview board. So what are you looking for? Like, how can you tell that somebody has that mindset, or what's your
You know,
questions that you
What's keeping them in?
without getting too descriptive, you know, I've just seen we had some candidates where it was apparent that they were only going to look out for themselves based off of how they would answer their questions. There may be guys here that were part of the interim academy. Probably, I'm sure there were signs of that too. And there were some folks that like there was at times you would see selfish behavior. And a lot of times people have a hard time masking that, like for some reason, you know.
Especially when times get tough.
Under
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
Under stress,
So
that's
Gilbert,
when it
you've
comes
been in
out.
the fires for service almost 20 years, and you know you grew up right out of high school through now old man in the fire service. So like you've seen aspects from good leaders to bad leaders. What's your take on the topic?
Man, again, dude, it's about respect, you know, and like loyalty and stuff like that. Like, man, you could be a brand new person, brand new captain. You treat me with respect, and I'll be like, oh, okay, cool, man. I'll treat you with respect. I don't care if you're a captain, chief, whatever. You come and treat me disrespectful. I've said it before. I was looking for a job before I found this one. I'm a grown-ass man first before anything else. You know what I mean? So I'm always looking for freaking respect, dude. And I'm going to hold to that. You know, like I'm going to be like, I will not be disrespectful to anybody unless they disrespect me first. So I've seen that in a lot of people, man. I've seen captains that are horrible at that, you know, that they think just because they got the rank, they can go and, you know, treat people like shit. And that's not right. That's not fair, because we don't go around in the community treating people like shit. So why are we going to do it to the guys that are riding in the truck with you, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times where I've messed up and then somebody calls me out on it. I'm like, perfect, dude, I did, you know, I deserve that. I respect you for freaking calling me out on that, and it won't happen again. But there's a Zach says it's the tone, you know, like, but you know what I mean. So that's one of the things. But we learn from those things, man. You learn from seeing those bad qualities in some and seeing the really good qualities in a lot of others, and then you try to bring them all together and get that. But going back to the question, I think what I've seen, and it always comes down to just being a good person, treating people with respect. I got no problem with being put in place and check, but you still got to treat people good. You know, you still got to treat them with that dignity, with that respect, and not act like you're better than they are.
I got asked a question in when I did my interview for the RTO spot, when I got to be John's RTO. One of the questions they asked that really threw them off on my answer was, they said, if you could teach the recruits one thing, what would it be? And they were looking for, you know, the hardworking and teamwork and all these things. And I said, if I could teach these guys anything in the academy, it's to be a good person. And you could tell that's not at all what they were thinking I would say, and they gave me a weird look. But I told them, because at the end of the day, good people work hard. Good people care about you. Good people will do anything for you. They'll push themselves. They care about their performance. They care about how they affect other people. So they're the ones I want. I want a good person, because you're gonna be a great firefighter if you're a good person. And that's what I really look for with people. And what I found in the fire service is we're a very competitive group, not only with each other, but with ourselves. And my method of leadership is to make you better and make you succeed. Because what I found is when people succeed and they feel like they're improving and doing more and becoming more valuable, they work harder for you, and it builds them up, and they believe in you more. And I'm not all mushy all the time. I think all of us have had that awkward talk before, where I had to have the awkward talk with you. And I feel like it's taken more to heart when the time that I do come to you, and it's that hard talk and that more of a stern tone. You know, it's for a reason. I invest in you, and I want to make you better. And that's the biggest thing I found from leadership, is if you can pull people's strengths and make them better as a group and make them feel more valuable to you, they'll work harder for you every time, and they'll keep that mindset going.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the things that like I'm picking up in everybody's answer is, there seems to be somewhat of a relationship with you as a leader, or Zach, you as a leader, all of you, that when you have established a relationship where they can trust you, then you can speak into their life and hold them accountable, and set those safe boundaries up to make them better. So I just I want to thank you guys for just touching up on the subject, and thank you for our viewers and subscribers for listening in. And so
That's
we're gonna
good.
let Zach close this one out.
I don't want to close this one, but it's not just we're all there to do manual labor. It's the emotional labor inside and outside of work. I think really we emphasize on is like, what are you doing off the job too, man, as a person? And Hugo says we all don't have, I'm never going to have Hugo's leadership, but I take pieces and then you make your own. And if your intention at the end of the day is to make each other better, and when you get to the highest and highs, reaching back, grabbing somebody and bringing up with you, we will always go up. We will never go backwards. And the conversations only get us higher, never get us lower. So just having that love and the intention, man, we'll all get better for it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean-
The best leaders make more leaders, and that was a quote I read a long time ago. I really took to heart. Was a good leader can make more leaders and make them better than you were.
Well,
Any other closing comments?
Well, I was just gonna say that, man, I don't want to leave out the fact, since we're talking about leadership, about how important it is to remember that the bad leadership that you experience in life, if you can't, that's kind of like the, what is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Like we should be learning. If you've experienced bad leadership, then it better change you. You better learn from it. Like it's not useless in life experience. It's almost as important as when you experience good leadership.
And we'll be talking on this subject quite a bit, because leadership, it's not a 10-15 minute conversation. I mean,
I could go on for hours.
Hundreds of thousands of books probably written on leadership.
Yeah.
So it's ever evolving. So we'll come back to it.
Yep, and that's true. I've learned probably even more from bad leadership than I did from good leadership.
So we'll come back to the subject, man, and as we go through, we'll keep hammering it so we can all learn and all grow and develop from it.
Keep going for days on this, dude.